After months of retrograde mayhem and eclipse chaos, May finally brings a breath of fresh air and a powerful surge of forward momentum that you won't want to miss. Mars is finally breaking free from its retrograde shadow after lingering in just a few small degrees between Cancer and Leo since way back on October 3rd of 2024. That means for the past 7 months, this stuck energy has stalled out momentum and made it very challenging to launch anything new. But that's about to change. And just days later, on May 16th, Venus exits her retrograde shadow as well, reigniting forward momentum in relationships, romance, creativity, money, and material pleasures of all kinds. Not only that, but we're closing out May with a major cosmic shift. Saturn will enter Aries on May 24th, kicking off a brand new cycle of deep restructuring and accountability in a whole new area of life. And yes, this is happening in the sign of Saturn's fall, right alongside Neptune, meaning that the impact of this transit is going to be anything but straightforward. So you're definitely going to want to watch this video. Finally, on May 29th, Mercury reaches its superior conjunction with the Sun at 9 degrees in the sign of Gemini, a moment of mental clarity and culmination. This cazimi marks a breakthrough in understanding, bringing full cycle and insight into a conversation, idea, inspiration, curiosity that first was sparked around March 24th. In this video, we'll do a deep dive into everything you need to know to navigate the month ahead, including a forecast for all 12 signs. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an important astrology update. This is a new thing I'm trying out here for the summer months because I'm going to be taking it a little bit easier. I'm going to be taking some time off here and there. And so I want to make sure that I'm consistent in giving you the forecasts, the information that you need and that you deserve from me without making it overly complex during my summer travels. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, because you're going to get a monthly forecast just like this in June and in July, along with some extended forecasts for the bigger astrological energies like Jupiter shifting into the sign of Cancer in June and Uranus moving into the sign of Gemini shortly thereafter in July. And so make sure again, that you're subscribed so you don't miss that. And also, before we dive in, make sure you download my free Astrology 101 quick reference guide to get a deeper understanding of your own birth chart. This is 100% free of charge. And this is going to give you everything you need, not only to understand yourself, but to get even more out of these free forecasts that I offer for you here on YouTube. Again, the link is down in the description below. All right, so first things first, the highlights, the biggest energies in May of 2025. We already mentioned that Mars will finally leave its retrograde shadow on May 3rd. And that is after 7 months of sitting at the same degrees of Cancer and Leo since October 3rd of 2024 for a very long extended time. This is a time where finally we're not going back and forth and reigniting and rehashing things. This is where we get a new fresh start, a new fresh energy, especially in the Leo area of our lives and charts. And so this is where the momentum really takes off for us. The passion really hits us in the month of May. This is where we're going to feel way less stuck and way more free, like we're able to do what we want to do in the way that we want to do it. And we're going to be very excited about all of that. Pluto also is going to be stationing just the very next day at 3 degrees in the sign of Aquarius. This isn't hugely significant. Pluto, when it's in retrograde, is similar to Pluto when it's direct. On a personal level, it can be a little bit more obsessive as opposed to prone to magnetizing things externally. One of the things that Pluto does that I really love, besides its transformative capabilities, besides its ability to break something down and have it rebirthed stronger and better and more powerful than ever before, is the fact that it tends to magnetize things. And it does so in extremes. And so when you have strong Pluto transits, you can have extreme changes in your wealth on a material level. You can have extreme changes in your relationships relationships. You can have extreme changes in your mindsets where you're either all in or all out on something. When Pluto stations and when Pluto goes retrograde, it's a little bit more internalized, and it can indicate obsessing over something that maybe requires that breakdown and breakthrough that Pluto is famous for, or that maybe requires your energy to shift in some way for you to dive deep and really get in touch with what you need, want, and desire at a very core level in order to actually magnetize and manifest the thing that you want to manifest, not in an intellectual way, like I want $1 million. It's about really figuring out, okay, you think you want $1 million, but what do you actually truly want? What does your soul want? What do you want in that deep way? And maybe, yes, it is $1 million, but for most people, it's not. Most people, that $1 million symbolizes certain psychological components, certain emotions, certain sensations where you desire maybe greater security, greater freedom, right? Greater ability to do what you want to do in the way that you want to do it, or just less stress in your life because maybe a little bit more money would do that. And so Pluto will help you get in touch with why you want the things that you think you want, and it'll help you actually manifest the things that truly deep down inside you do want after Pluto goes direct. And so this is not a one and done process. This is a very long-term transit. It's not going to be felt really significantly by most people when Pluto stations on May 4th, unless you have planets around 3 degrees. So anywhere really from 0 to 5 or 6 degrees in Aquarius or in the other air signs. That's going to be felt really positively in Gemini and Libra, or in the fixed signs. So in addition to Aquarius, that would be the sign of Leo, that would be the signs of Taurus and Scorpio. If you have those early degree planets, then this is going to feel like a really big surge of intensity at the start of the month where things just feel more psychologically and emotionally intensified. Shortly after that, on May 10th, Mercury will enter Taurus, where it'll stay until May 25th when it moves into the sign of Gemini. It's going to be doing some big things in Gemini we'll talk about in just a second here. But through Taurus, it's going to be more about slowing our roll when it comes to our brain, when it comes to our nervous system. I like Mercury in Taurus because it doesn't say more than what needs to be said. It's a really beautiful energy for simplifying your mindset around something, simplifying the way that you communicate your ideas. It's a really beautiful energy for slowing down your thought processes and thinking things through much more clearly in this more tangible, more grounded sort of way. And so this is a calming energy for our brains, for our nervous systems. And this is where our conversations get back to basics, they get back to the here and now, and our thoughts and ideas get back to basics and back to the here and now. There will be a new area of life that's going to be subject to more thinking, more conversation, more ideas being sparked at that time. And so that's a big part of Mercury moving into Taurus. Just after that, on the 12th, we have another really big, powerful energy with the full moon in the sign of Scorpio. This is a major energy for a culmination of a change that you have been undergoing for many years, especially the last few months. This is that last call to pivot, that last call for that disruptive influence of Uranus to show up in a big way in your life before it moves into the sign of Gemini in just a couple months. And so this is the last hurrah of Uranus in Taurus. If you have not liberated yourself in the way that you need to feel liberated, if you have not broken free from the status quo, from the norm, from stuck, stale, stagnant energy that you've wanted to hold on to because it feels comfortable, this full moon will highlight that and it'll make you make those changes. And so this is going to be so important on May 12th and around May 12th, really a few days before and after. We're going to be feeling that because the sun is coming into that conjunction with Uranus, not on the 12th, but on the 17th. So really, this period here from May 12th through really like the 22nd, that's going to be this big Uranus shakeup energy where something dramatic is about to change in all of our lives, but especially if you have energy around that 22nd degree in the fixed signs, this will be the most disruptive for you. If you don't know if you have planets at the 22nd degree or near the 22nd degree in the fixed signs, make sure, again, you download my free Astrology 101 quick reference guide to find all of your placements and have that handy every time you watch one of these videos. So definitely use that resource. But really, the orb of influence, I would say, is anywhere from 17 to 27 degrees in the sign of Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, or Aquarius. That's where you're going to get the biggest shakeups and the most disruptive energies and influences. So if you have your sun, moon, rising there, if you have any really potent planets, pivotal points, you have your angles there, this is going to be a shakeup, but it's a continuation. It's not like a brand new shakeup, although it will be unexpected. It's a continuation of a shakeup and a deconstruction that's been going on and a major pivot that's been going on in a certain area of your life for quite some time now. It's like you didn't crack this up enough. You didn't shake this up enough. Uranus is going to come in from the outside usually and say, you need to change this. Or that full moon could bring it to your consciousness. So you decide that you need to be the facilitator of the change, the catalyst yourself for the major transformation, change, breakdown, and pivot. And you're going to be the one that's shocking people. You're not going to be shocked by the outside. You're going to be the one doing the shocking. That'll be especially the case for our Scorpios and our Taurus people. After that, Venus finally leaves its retrograde shadow on May 16th. Venus retrograde wasn't terrible for most people. It is what it is. It's like a reevaluating of our most important connections and relationships. It's a deep dive into what we value, what brings us joy and pleasure in our lives. It's looking at especially the way that we value our relationships and which relationships we actually do value and what we don't. It also has probably been a wake-up call to a lot of people about certain facets of different relationships where they realize things about people that they hadn't realized prior. And so Venus is leaving its retrograde shadow. We're going to get some forward momentum on Venusian things, especially through the sign of Aries. So wherever Aries falls in your chart, we'll talk about this when we get into the forecast of all 12 signs. You're going to be getting a fresh start when it comes to relationships related to that area of life. Then on May 26th, we have Mercury conjunct the new moon in the sign of Gemini, and this is going to be trine Pluto in Aquarius. This is a really beautiful energy for deep transformation. If you're somebody that had a lot of intensity around the Pluto station around May 4th, this is a time where you're going to get an idea, you're going to get a spark of inspiration, you're going to get this reset that's going to allow you to transform internally and maybe externally as well around whatever it is that you need to catalyze, that you need to change, that you need to work through. This is also just a very beautiful reset transformation energy in general, especially because we're going to have that Mercury cazimi just a few days after on May 29th. And this is highlighting something. So on the new moon, it's highlighting that there's something that we're not quite understanding with Mercury combust. There's something that is maybe occulted, it's hidden. We're not necessarily going to have the mental capacity to grasp it, or we just don't have all of the information just yet. But there is something that needs to be transformed through that Pluto energy. There's a transformation that needs to take place, and there's some information that we are coming to through our discernment that will really pop at us, that will really become apparent around the time of that superior conjunction at 9 degrees in Gemini on the 29th. And so Mercury begins prior to the 29th as the morning star. It goes combust, which means it's invisible, and then it disappears completely. It comes into that conjunction with the sun, and then it reemerges just a couple of weeks later as the evening star. And so this is a time where the themes are centered around coming to a full awareness about something, again, that has been kept hidden from us or that we didn't have the ability to see or understand fully until now because we didn't get the message. We didn't have the information. It just didn't make sense to us. And all of a sudden we get that inspiration. With the forward conjunction, with the conjunction of Mercury and the sun, while Mercury is direct, it's more about external stimuli. So it might be that you get information from a podcast and it changes something. You get information from a friend, you get a new message that comes in. Usually the input of Mercury is more external, so through communication, and then that leads to a realization, that leads to the idea, that leads to us fully understanding what plans we need to make moving forward. It will likely be an awareness or realization about something that first came into our consciousness around March 24th, and now it's coming full circle. That's really a big thing this month. I love these Mercury Kazimis because they always bring this really big, like, aha moment where, especially after all of the chaos, all of the turbulence of the first few months of this year, it's something we need. It's a clarity that we truly need. And it's going to help us to feel much more confident with our plans moving forward. So let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. So for Aries and for Aries rising, the biggest things that you're going to be feeling this month are the fact that Saturn is moving into your sign and joining with Neptune. If you haven't already done so, I have a full video about Saturn and Neptune transiting the sign of Aries, which is going to impact you more so than anyone else, especially over these next 2.5 years, while Saturn and Neptune are co-present in the sign of Aries. So make sure you watch that video next after you're done with this. But that Saturn energy is going to feel like a sudden sense of heaviness, a sudden additional weight of responsibility. Saturn transiting your sign is going to add responsibility to your life. This is a really important time to get very serious about your physical body, your physical health, because the first house is you, especially if you're an Aries rising, even if you're an Aries sun or moon. The moon is the general significator of the body, right? And so we want to make sure that we're taking good care and being more disciplined and being more careful with your body, with the food that you eat especially. The sun represents your vitality, your life force energy. Saturn can make that feel more depleted. And on your ascendant, the first house is very literally you. And so there is going to be an extra layer of need where you might not feel as vital. You might have to work harder at it when it comes to your physicality. And so all of these things are coming up. Again, I did a full forecast on that. But Venus is actually moving forward in your sign. And a lot of stuck, stagnant, stale energy that's been happening around relationships where you haven't been able to move forward from this place of maybe even difficulty, maybe arguments, disputes, disagreements with friends or with people in your life. All of a sudden now that you're getting some forward momentum. Venus in your sign kind of offsets Saturn a little bit because Saturn is this heaviness. It forces you to slow things down, which is not necessarily in the nature of Aries, whereas Venus, even in its detriment in Aries in your sign, it brings you a little bit more charisma. It makes you much more likable. It makes things a little bit easier. It makes things a little bit more relaxed. And so there is a push and pull there. If you're an end degree Aries, you're going to be feeling more of that Venusian, like pleasurable, indulgent energy. If you're an early degree Aries, you're going to be like, it's time to get to work. The other things going on here for Aries and Aries rising is that Mars is going to be moving direct in your fifth house. This is you just taking hold of something that you're passionate about and getting forward momentum going, or taking hold of something that you've been wanting to initiate involving your children and getting the momentum going. And so you finally have forward momentum in that area of life. And you're also going to have a little bit of a disruption going on this month, especially around mid-month when we have the full moon in the sign of Scorpio. There's something here that you've been working on changing either out of necessity because of chaos that's come in and swept you away when it comes to your finances, or because you've been wanting more freedom. You've been wanting to liberate yourself from an old way of doing things so you have more financial freedom, so you can do what you want, spend what you want. Maybe you've been looking at unusual ways of earning money or investing your money. Maybe you've been doing more with cryptocurrency, which is a very Uranus and Taurus thing. And so whatever it is for you, there's something here that hasn't been changed yet when it comes to the way that you deal with your resources. The full moon is going to highlight that middle of the month, and it's going to cause you to shift and change. And that's going to extend through to the end of the month because of that sun conjunction to Uranus. Finally, you're going to be getting a major reset when it comes to your mindset, when it comes to your connection with your neighbors, the people that you surround yourself with in your immediate environment. There's going to be a big revelation about your community that could come in from the outside. There's going to be a very big revelation around travel plans that could come in from the outside, or around a vehicle or a means of travel. There could be a big revelation from a sibling or an extended family member that comes in for you. There's something here that's going to be revealed to you where you've been mulling it over since the end of March, and now it's come full circle and you have all of the information that you need in order to make the right decisions moving forward. This could also just simply be a change in your mindset, especially when it comes to your day-to-day thinking and communications. Then for Taurus and for Taurus rising, this energy is going to bring forward momentum and lots of it for you when it comes to your home, your family, your property. Maybe you've been wanting to renovate. That would be a very big Mars in the fourth house thing. Or maybe you've been trying to renovate and it's been stalling out because of that Mars retrograde energy. Maybe there is a family situation where there's been a lot of complication and conflict, and finally things move forward. Finally, you can resolve that conflict. Whatever that looks like for you when it comes to home, family, and property, you have momentum, you have passion, you have energy on your side finally. So it's not going to continue to stall out or be delayed. Beyond that, Taurus is in for a major shakeup and a big revelation about something that you need to change, that you've been holding on to an old way of existing, behaving, being. Maybe you don't want to rattle people's cages too much. Maybe you don't want to be too disruptive to the status quo. This full moon in the sign of Scorpio says, screw it. You have to do the thing that you want to do. You have to do that rebellious thing, the weird thing. And other people in your life, someone in your life is going to be there to support you in making that big dramatic change. You're also going to have a big revelation when it comes to your finances at the end of this month, because you're going to have the new moon in Gemini in your second house, but also the Mercury cazimi there. There's something that you've been stuck on. There's an idea that you've had involving your money, involving your resources, which have been growing most likely. So at least you've had that going for you over the past few months with Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. But there's an idea that you have, maybe for an investment, maybe for a purchase, maybe for a newer way of, or a better way of dealing with your resources. And it probably came to you at the end of March, and now it's coming full circle and you're getting all the information you need to move forward with that big financial move. And then for Gemini and for Gemini rising, you're going to be getting a lot of forward momentum when it comes to short distance travel, maybe purchasing a vehicle. Maybe you've had a car that's been breaking down over and over again, and it's been just a huge headache throughout the Mars retrograde over these last 7 months, and now that issue gets resolved. Maybe there's been a conflict with siblings. Maybe there's been a conflict in your neighborhood. There's something here that's been stalled out that finally gains momentum in those areas of life this month, starting at the beginning of the month. So that's going to be a month-long situation for you, Gemini. The other thing that is moving ahead is that Venus is moving ahead in your 11th house. There is a revelation that you've had, a new understanding that you've come to around what you value when it comes to your close personal relationships, when it comes to your friendships, when it comes to your social networks. And now's the time where you're going to be able to take action on those values. There's people that you've seen much more clearly as a result of Venus being in retrograde. And now you get to either move on or move forward in those connections. And Saturn's going to be coming in. So this was an important time for you to figure out which relationships are loyal, which ones you value, and which ones maybe are not so good, or which ones you need to change the dynamic in. And Saturn moving into Aries over these next 2.5 years at the end of this month, that's going to be this like big hard call to purge, where the relationships that are not loyal, that are not going to stand the test of time, the relationships that are not responsible, stable, the ones where they're more burden and more responsibility than what they're actually worth, those ones are going to start to fall away. And so that's going to be a big thing for you. You're also going to be having the full moon in the sign of Scorpio. There's a disruption behind the scenes, but this is really about a culmination of something involving your work or a big change that you've been doing behind the scenes that reverberates into your work, your day-to-day life, or even your health. So there could be the need to change something about maybe the way that you engage with rest, sleep, reprieve, in order to facilitate healing in that 6th house area of life. It's your unsettled energy when you're supposed to be winding down and taking that time to recharge, that is causing problems for you in the 6th house of health. That could also be causing problems for you in the 6th house of work, where you're burnt out, where you're rattled, where you're not doing your best. And so all of these things are going to come up into your consciousness this month. And then finally, toward the end of this month, there's going to be a new moon in the sign of Gemini and a Mercury cazimi in the sign of Gemini. That is your sign. There's something that you personally need to communicate, that you need to share with other people, that you need to share with the world. There's an idea that you've had that you need to move forward with. And this is going to be a big reset that's going to clear away anything that's holding you back from doing it. But this is really a time for you to take the idea that you have and communicate it with other people. This is the time to share what's come up for you and what you've realized that's been very important and very life-changing, especially around the time of the end of March, like March 24th. It's coming back around, and now's the time to start revealing it, right? This is a revelatory energy. You've been keeping it to yourself. Now's the time to share. And then for Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancer, there is some forward momentum finally happening after a lot of turbulence, a lot of disruption, a lot of discord in the area of finances, where maybe you've had sudden unexpected bills coming up, where you've had to pay for something from the past that you forgot about, or that is now in collections, or there's some sort of argument or dispute going on around money in some way, or there's something that you've been wanting to initiate in terms of a big purchase, or in terms of a new way of dealing with your finances, a new way of saving money, or a new way of earning money. Now is the time where you actually have the forward momentum to resolve the conflict, make the thing happen. You'll have the motivation to see it through. Now is the time to take action when it comes to your resources. The other big things that are happening here is Venus is moving direct in your 10th house. All good things for you when it comes to money, when it comes to career, when it comes to getting forward momentum going. There's a work-related connection that could be very helpful to you this month, that you've been going back and forth with Venus in retrograde for a few months now. And now it's time to really see it through. Now it's time to collaborate in a new way. And if you're not somebody who's working, it could still be that there's somebody in a position of power and authority who gets on your good side and you get on their good side, and they're able to help you with something. The full moon energy in the sign of Scorpio is spanning the 5th and the 11th houses. There's been a lot of disruption in the area of friendship. You've been having friends come and go, and friendships begin and end rather abruptly. You've been having very unusual situations over the past 8 years coming up around your friendships and your social connections. You've been finding yourself expanding. Your social network, your friend group probably looks so different in 2025 than it did in 2018, radically different. And this full moon is highlighting that. There's still a little bit of change you need to make there when it comes to your friendship. There's one last maybe wild experience that you need to have with your tribe, or there's one last really unusual, unexpected person that's going to pop into your life. This full moon's going to highlight the need to shake things up with your social circle a little bit more. And then finally, at the end of the month, it's very introspective with the new moon in Gemini and the Mercury cazimi. This is where you're going to be getting a big reset by actually resetting. This is a really great time at the end of the month to take a vacation, to take time away. Even if you can't take a vacation, spend more time in solitude, seclusion, contemplation, meditation. Give yourself an extra hour if you can, or even half hour to sleep more deeply. Really important messages, really important inspiration is going to come through your dreams. It's going to come through those times of rest and reprieve, especially on or around the 29th when we have that Mercury cazimi come exact. And so the most important information is going to come through your subconscious, and it's only going to happen during times of rest. For Leo and for Leo rising, for Leo, Mars is going direct in your sign. Oh my gosh, you've been feeling like you just want to go. You want to take charge. You want to start something new, and you just can't make it happen. It's like pushing up against a wall. You've probably had things start and then fizzle out and start and then fizzle out. You've been reigniting your passions when it comes to old projects, ideas, and things. Now is a time where you can start fresh. You can actually have the momentum to initiate something new and have it actually work out for you. So you're going to be feeling very fired up, very energized, and very motivated this month. Venus is going to be going direct in your 9th house. And so there could be an important, maybe even like luxury vacation or something like that you could actually move forward with this month, which could be really great for Leos, especially Leos like those types of things. Or there's an important connection with a teacher or somebody in a foreign country that finally takes hold, that you finally get to move forward with. There is a bit of a disruption going on where you've been making some massive changes. Your career, your public reputation, your public image, the way people see you, what you're doing for work, it's all been up for change and transformation really over the last 8 years. And this is where it's coming to a close, but there's one last big shakeup, one last big change that you need to make when it comes to the impact that you make out in the world, when it comes to the work that you do out in the world. And that change is actually stemming from something that's being highlighted when it comes to your home, your family, your property, your place of living, what goes on behind the scenes after work. It's like you can't have what you want in your home life or in your family life until you make this last change to your career. Finally, toward the end of the month, there's going to be a really big reset going on in the area of friendships, social connections. There's a very important message that's going to come through one of your friends, through somebody in your social circle, that's going to reveal something really important to you, that's going to change the way that you deal with other people in a social setting in a big way, and it's going to change it for the better. So there's something going on here where there's information that has been withheld from you that you needed in order to really follow through with your plans moving forward, in order to connect with the right people moving forward. Then for Virgo and for Virgo rising, Mars is going to be moving forward in your 12th house. So a weird place for Mars, right? Because it's the hidden house. There's something that you've been wanting to reignite or working on behind the scenes that finally takes off and gains momentum this month. Also, if you've been having trouble sleeping because your sleep has been disrupted with Mars going back and forth in your 12th house, it's finally moving forward. Venus is also moving direct in your 8th house. A big financial move that you've been wanting to make can finally move forward. You can finally deal with that debt. You can finally get that loan approved. You can finally pay off that other debt. You can finally get that payout you've been looking for. Your spouse can get that job or that bonus. All of these things are now potentials. However, you're going to have to work for it because Saturn's also moving into your 8th house. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you watch my full video about Saturn and Neptune transiting your 8th house, transiting Pisces or Aries that I recorded earlier this month, because that is a good one. You're also going to have a big change and shakeup going on in the areas of your mindset, your beliefs about God, the universe, the world around you. Your ideals and your ideas have been radically transformed over the past few years since 2018. Now's the final push, the final change that you need to make, the final revelation. And that's going to be coming, especially this month, toward the middle and end of this month, around the time of the full moon. This is going to be highlighting the need to change and pivot your mindset again. This could also bring up a really unexpected vacation that could really expand and change your belief systems. It could change your perspective on something. Finally, at the end of this month, you're going to get a big idea, a really important communication that comes in around your career and public reputation. Even if you're not working, this is about the legacy that you want to leave behind after your working years and the way people see you and what you put out there into the world to impact others, something about that is going to change. But this could be a really important reset, a new beginning for you in the area of career that you've been wanting and waiting for. This could be a new idea that comes up, or a message that comes through, or a job offer or an opportunity that comes through. It's going to be some sort of communication that you're looking for on the 29th or around the 29th that is pertaining to your career and your public standing, maybe from somebody in a position of power and authority even, that's going to shift the way you think about something. For Libra and for Libra rising. So for Libras, this energy of Mars moving direct at the start of the month is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, social networks, and groups of people you surround yourself with by choice. If you've been having arguments, disputes, disagreements, disruption, discord in the area of your friendships, now's a time where you're going to get some forward momentum going and you're going to get some resolution. And so that's going to be really wonderful. If there is a group related activity or project you've been wanting to carry forward and it's brand new and it's just been fizzling out during the Mars retrograde and the Mars shadow, now's the time where after 7 long months, you can finally move forward. You can finally move on. I love this energy for Libra. And this could also be you feeling motivated to do something in partnership with somebody, because this will trine your descendant if you're a Libra rising. Later this month, we're also going to have Venus moving direct. There's probably been a lot of revelations when it comes to your romantic life, when it comes to your close connections with people, when it comes to you figuring out what you truly value and who you truly value in those one-on-one intimate connections. There could have been something you've been reevaluating with a spouse or significant other. Now that reevaluation is over and it's time to move forward. And that Saturn's coming into the mix. And so it could be even that this was the last kind of thing you needed to figure out before you really got serious about somebody, or before you decided that the weight of the responsibility of this relationship is too much to carry, and maybe moving forward, you're going to let them go. It just depends on the nature of the relationship, the nature of the rest of your chart, how that's going to play out. There is going to be a big revelatory, disruptive energy going on when it comes to your finances this month, Libra, especially mid to end of the month, because we're going to have a full moon highlighting the Sun conjunction to Uranus and Taurus. This is the last hurrah, the last chance to change and shift something really important when it comes to your finances. There could be a shocking revelation, especially pertaining to the way you earn your money, the way you save your money, a big expenditure. There could be a shocking revelation when it comes to your investments, when it comes to a big debt, taxes, inheritance, that you're not going to see it coming, but it's going to be along the lines of things that you've already dealt with and learned to deal with, because you've been having to pivot in this financial region of your life for a long time now, since 2018. So that's what's going on there. And then we'll finalize and end the month with a new moon in Gemini, a Mercury cazimi that's going to be hitting you in the 9th house. This is an important message can come through somebody in a foreign country, somebody from a distance. There could be an important travel opportunity that comes up for you at the end of the month. Or if you're traveling, this could be a time where that travel reveals something to you. You get an inspiration, you get an awakening to something. And that changes your perspective on life. That changes your beliefs about something in a very big way. This is also a great time for you to teach something, to share information, for you to be the one carrying forward your wisdom in some way. And so I love that for Libra. Then for Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, the Mars retrograde is finally done. Scorpios are ruled by Mars, so it's probably not been a walk in the park for you. And it probably feels like things were just stuck in this limbo where nothing was moving forward. Things were just going back and forth for months. And now you're finally getting the momentum going, especially when it comes to moving forward with something new in your career, your public reputation, the work that you do out in the world, in your business. It's no longer stuck. It's no longer stale. It's no longer stagnant. Now you can take the thing that you feel very passionate about, very motivated to do, and you can actually do it. You can actually carry it forward. And so that's going to be great. Scorpios are in for a little bit of a shakeup this month, though, because you do have Uranus in your 7th house being highlighted by the full moon in your sign, especially if you're a Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 17 to 27 degrees. You're going to be feeling this the most. You're going to have a big revelation that comes to you or from you personally. You're going to say or do something that reveals the need for a big change when it comes to the way that you engage and deal with the world, but also when it comes to a big important partnership. It could also be that something is revealed to you from or about a partner or somebody significant in your life, and that changes your direction. Venus moving direct is going to be great for you around that time as well, because it's going to move forward in the sign of Aries in your 6th house of health, work, and daily routines. Your work-related relationships, there's been a lot that's been revealed there. Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to align yourself with? Who do you want to employ if you're somebody who employs people? And what do you want your day-to-day habits and reality to look like? What do you value on a day-to-day basis? How can you get more rest and balance in your daily routines? All of these things are going to be answered, and you're finally going to be able to move forward with the new ideas, plans, revelations, the things that you've realized during this Venus retrograde period. And also there might have been old connections that are work related that have come back in and that you can carry forward. And that's going to be really wonderful. You can finally take that to the next phase, the next level. Saturn's going to be coming in there, though. This is a cleaning up and figuring out what you value, what you want in your day-to-day experience, so Saturn can help you have the discipline to create it with your health routines maybe, or with, again, your work routines. Finally, at the end of this month, a big important aha moment, a big revelation, a big reset when it comes to debt, when it comes to joint finances, when it comes to other people's money. Information is going to be revealed to you, an idea or an inspiration or a solution to a problem. And it's probably going to be revealed to you through outside messages, through outside communications. And you're going to have this ability to really set strong intentions at the time of the new moon at the end of this month to create what you want to create for yourself moving forward. If you want a debt-free life, now's the time to make that happen. If you want to make better investments, if you don't know how to invest and you're learning, you're going to figure it out at the end of this month. There could also be something that is revealed to you that has to do with a deep trauma, a fear that you've been holding on to that's no longer relevant in the present moment. And so that's going to be in the forefront of your consciousness so you can work through it. Great time at the end of this month if you're needing to seek out therapy or some sort of psychological form of healing. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this energy of Mars going direct is happening in your 9th house. There's been a stalled out energy when it comes to maybe higher education and your ability to travel and see the world. This is so relevant to my husband, who's a Sagittarius rising, because he's about to graduate from his master's program this month. It's been oh my gosh, when is this going to end? For the last 7 months, there's been some stalling out. But now you get to move forward. Now you get to take what you've been rehashing and reevaluating and having to reignite your passion for over these past 7 months. You get to actually carry it forward into the world in some way. You get to learn knowledge in a way that's more direct. And this is a very wonderful energy for motivating you to explore, to expand your horizons, to maybe do some travel. This is also going to be a time this month where Venus is moving direct in your 5th house, which is the house of joy. And so joy is coming back into your life, Sagittarius. You're going to have more fun, more time for play, more time for passion, more time for romance, more time for the things that you love to do because you love to do them. This is also where there's maybe been a snag in your relationship with your children, if that's applicable to you. And the relationship is now going to move forward in a better way because you and your children and everyone else involved are going to have a much better idea of what you value truly and deeply. And that's important because Saturn coming in is going to add some weight, add some heaviness to the mix. Sagittarius is also going to have a shakeup this month, especially toward the middle of the month when we have the full moon on May 12th and shortly thereafter for about a week or so, while we have Uranus conjunct the sun in your 6th house of work, health, and daily routines. The full moon is a time for you to take a step back. This is a big reset. This is a time for you to rest and pull yourself out of the disruptive energy that's going on here. There's one last major change you need to make to your day-to-day life, to the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, to your health routines even. And taking time away and allowing yourself to reset is going to reveal that to you and help you make the changes that you need to make from a place of clarity. Finally, at the end of the month, you have a new moon and a Mercury cazimi happening in your 7th house of relationships. This is a really important time where you're going to get really clear, really important communication coming in from a spouse or a significant other or somebody that you're really close with that's going to really cultivate awareness, and that's going to change things for you. This is a reset, a fresh start for you in the area of love, romance, one-on-one connection, and the communication component of this is key. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, this Mars direct energy at the start of the month, this is happening in your 8th house. Finally, for momentum when it comes to your finances, when it comes to dealing with disputes and disagreements and arguments, if things have been stalled out, if your momentum when it comes to your earnings, when it comes to your investments, when it comes to your ability to pay off debts, if your momentum is just fizzling out, now's the time where that's going to come back online and you're going to be able to make the financial moves you need to make moving forward. You're also going to have Venus going direct. So this is a really beautiful time to create better balance in your home and family life. You've been reevaluating a lot of what you value in the home and what you value in your family relationships. Now's the time to take action on those newly discovered or rediscovered values, especially just in time for Saturn to come in and bring about a restructuring in that area of your life. And so definitely watch my Saturn, Neptune, and Aries video if you haven't already done so for a deeper dive into that. We're also going to have a little bit of a disruption going on, but it's a good one. There could be one last little bit of that comes, but it's going to come weirdly through your social connections. Like something with a connection with a friend or a group or a social network is going to reveal the need to change something or alter something when it comes to the way that you raise or parent your children. There could also be a social connection that brings out a shocking, new, exciting thing that you wouldn't have expected to be very passionate about that you're going to incorporate into your day-to-day life and experience. Or there could just be a shocking new social connection that comes up and you just have a lot of shared interests, and that could be really fun too. There's going to be something at the end of the month revealed to you. You need a reset when it comes to your health, Capricorn. Jupiter's not going to be protecting you when it comes to the way that you deal with your body anymore. Like you have to put in the work. And so Jupiter's going to be moving into the sign of Cancer next month. It's the last call for Jupiter in Gemini, making things easier for you for your health. And there's going to be a revelation around that where you're going to realize something, and that's going to change the way that you think about and plan your day-to-day life around your health routines. There could also be a very important work-related communication that comes in that's very inspiring or that changes something for you toward the end of this month around the 29th. And then for Aquarius and Aquarius rising. For Aquarius, this first part of the month is going to be marked by Mars finally moving forward, finally giving you momentum. There has likely been an argument, a dispute, a disagreement, something that you've been having to go back and forth with over and over again in an important relationship in your life, or an important contract or agreement, even a legal sort of issue where finally you could move forward. And if you're in partnership with somebody, you can move forward with plans that have been stalling out for 7 months now together. So you get the momentum to do the things you want to do together as a unit. And so that's going to be absolutely wonderful. The full moon is happening in the sign of Scorpio in your 10th house. This is, I think, a welcome disruption. There's something in your home life or in your family life or going on behind the scenes at your roots that's going to shift and change things in a way that will allow you to create what you want to create when it comes to your career. It could also be that this is highlighting for you. There's a culmination happening in your career, but it's also highlighting for you the need to change something behind the scenes with your home or your family situation in order to fully realize your career goals and aspirations, what you actually want to have, the freedom that you want to have in your home life and in your work life. It's like a work-life balance, but it's more about liberation and freedom and not being stuck in a boring, monotonous kind of 9-to-5 situation. And maybe even doing something where you're working from home or traveling or being like a nomad or something like that. There's a need to shift something that's being revealed for you. The other thing that's going on, of course, is Venus is going direct in your third house. There's a lot that's been revealed to you about family connections with siblings, about your neighbors, your neighborhood, people in your community. And now you get to move forward in a positive way with that new information. This is also going to be forward momentum when it comes to your relationships with your close personal relationships, one-on-one partnerships, especially spouses, long-term relationships, significant others, where everything finally feels like it's back on track. It finally feels like it's moving forward. It finally feels like your communication is more balanced and harmonious. The arguments and tension are finally dissipating, and that's turning into motivation. So I love that for Aquarius. The other thing going on here is you're going to have a really important message that comes through that could alter the way that you deal with your relationships again, your romantic life, but also could change the way that you think about yourself. There's a new idea that's coming through about something that you're really passionate about, that you want to share or communicate to others. This is also a big reset where it's time to focus more on the things that you love to do because you love to do them. It's time to focus a little bit more on play this month with all of the Gemini energy. And it's your last chance with Jupiter in Gemini too, and this little stellium forming in Gemini to just go out, have fun, have a good time. You've had a lot of tension, and now is the time to relieve that tension by engaging in the things that bring you joy. And then for Pisces and for Pisces rising, last but never least, Mercury is moving forward in your 6th house. And so there's been maybe some difficulty going on over the last 7 months involving your work or your work-related relationships, your coworkers. Maybe there's been a project that you've been really trying to get off the ground when it comes to your career, and it just has not been going forward. You've been having to go back and revisit and redo all this old stuff, but the new stuff isn't taking hold. This is also where maybe you've been trying to work on your health, and maybe you've had some health stuff come up, and it's just not been moving in the way that you want it to. Now's the time where these things take off, take hold, where you get the motivation, where you can actually move forward, where there's no more stuck energy in your health, your work, your daily routines, or even involving something with a pet. Later on in the month, we're going to have a little bit of a disruption. I would say for a lot of Pisces people, especially Pisces rising, unexpected travel or unexpected communications or unexpected revelations and awakenings that come through knowledge and information and new belief systems. So there's something that's going to be revealed to you where you have to think about something in a new way. You have to shift your perspective and your beliefs about something, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's nothing new for you because you've been dealing with this on and off for a while. There could also be a disruption coming up for you in your immediate environment or in your neighborhood that causes you to want to get out and take a trip, do a short distance trip or even a longer trip to just get away from the situation. Like maybe you have a neighbor that's suddenly doing renovations or something and it's, I got to get out of here. And that could be part of it too. The other thing that's going on is Venus is finally going direct in your 2nd house of money, resources, finances. Hopefully you did not overspend during that Venus retrograde and you listened to me. Not the time for buying new fancy things, but a really great time for finding deals on stuff for you and for reconfiguring what you value and what you do with your resources, reevaluating your savings plan, like contacting a financial advisor, kind of those types of things. Now is where you, if you were doing that, you'll get the benefits of it and you'll be able to make that purchase, buy that thing, use your money in a way that's fun, that brings you joy. And that's going to be really important. Also, if you've gotten your ducks in a row financially, this Saturn transit that's coming, that's hitting you at the end of this month. So definitely watch my video on the Saturn-Neptune transit through Aries to figure out exactly how this is impacting you financially. But hopefully you've been able to clean up your finances over these past couple of months. So when Saturn comes in at the end of this month, you're not going to be hit with this sudden heaviness, this sudden burden, this restriction and limitation on your resources. This Venus retrograde was definitely an opportunity for you to do that. And so you're getting to actually see the results of that this month. Finally, at the end of the month, you're getting a big reset, a big revelation, important information coming in about your family, about your heritage, your lineage, your ancestry even, an important message from a family member or an important idea or message or even contract or agreement that comes through involving a home, a property, some sort of real estate venture. This is the last chance to really take hold of all that great energy in Gemini because Jupiter is about to be leaving next month. So if you've been wanting to move, if you've been wanting to change something about your home environment or living situation, if you've been wanting to resolve issues with your family, the end of this month is the time to set intentions for that new moon, but also to have the full, complete picture so you can take advantage of the final opportunities that are there for you while Jupiter's transiting Gemini. And so that is my forecast for all 12 signs. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like it, subscribe to my channel, comment below and let me know how you're doing this month and how you've experienced all the crazy astrology leading up to this month. And definitely share this with a friend if you feel like they could benefit from what I shared with you today. Bye, everyone.